Oh no. And it is at this point that I just had a tragedy transpire off camera. So as I was moving things around here, I got some things over here for to do comparisons, and one of those things is, of course, Starsaber, the HasLab Starsaber. And he just fell over, and his sword broke. That's where the tab extends to go into the hilt. His sword is broken. That just ruined my day. I don't think I can fix it, and I don't think I can replace it. I've seen some 3D printed swords to give him a longer sword, but I've never really been into the 3D printed stuff. So that sucks. All right, friends, we have now reached the end of our journey together with this new, latest, greatest HasLab Liokaiser. And yeah, so before we get into the final combination and my final thoughts on everything, we're going to do a couple of quick size comparisons here. A good reference here is Saber. So you can see how those two scale together. And yeah, Saber, I mean, even when he came out, a lot of us were like, he's a little too small. His scale seems off. And this is definitely a case that shows that he is, in fact, a little bit too small, because he should be about the same height as these guys are. And now here he is with a small assortment of different size transformers, so we can see just height-wise. Yeah, he's bigger than your smallest deluxe and your mid-range deluxes. He's taller than your smaller Voyagers, but smaller than your more standard-sized Voyagers, and obviously much smaller than your leader-class figures. Of course, now the big difference there being just how much girth there is to these guys. These guys are chunky. They are chunky all the way around. Even when they do have some hollow bits from the transformation and articulation, there's a lot of heft to these guys. They have very thick, solid plastic walls with some very, very good, robust, hard, solid plastic. So, I mean, this guy, and I mentioned this in the vehicles, this guy feels heavier than he does. And he feels about the same weight as the amazing, greatest transformer ever made, Astrotrain, back there. And here's Guyhawk with an aerial bolt, so we can see how these two scale together. So yeah, I'm definitely, bigger than your standard deluxes. But again, the proportions are very different, and some people are not going to like that. I've seen lots of discourse on that already online, even before this thing came out. It has that sort of hyper anime proportions. And I dig that. I genuinely dig that. But that's not going to be for everybody. A lot of people are not going to like that. But again, works for me. And here's Leozak with Thesaurus, so you can see how they scale together. And because we mentioned it a few times before, and a few people have also mentioned them here in the comments, I just want to go ahead and show off these guys with their Iron Factory counterparts, so you can see how they scale and look with each other. So yeah, the Iron Factory ones are definitely a little bit more proportionate, a little bit more posable. And they're able to do that because, well, the Iron Factory one doesn't really combine. Like if you thought the pants were a bad, way to combine these guys, these guys, they get an entire body that they just snap into, basically. Even more egregious than any Hasbro frame, I'll tell you that much. Also, they're a little fiddly. This guy's foot literally just broke as I was taking him off of the frame, which the foot doesn't even connect into the frame, so that's very weird. They do like to fall apart pretty easily. And Leozak's teal is starting to discolor, which is kind of sad. I do think they do the breast animals a lot better on these guys. And they have the option of having a separate cartoon accurate version of them in chest mode as opposed to just the transforming one, which is kind of cool. So I do think they do those a little bit better. And I do like on Hellbat here, the way they do his wings. They're on this little arm apparatus here that can collapse in and give him his more show accurate placement of those wings, which also works very well in combined mode. It is now time to talk about that combined mode. So the best way to start doing the combination is for them to just go ahead and be in their vehicle modes. All right. If you hear a bunch of weird noises going on in the background, my neighbors just moved out, and maintenance guys are in there ripping the crap out of everything in that apartment. Anyway, so I know I said it's best to start in vehicle mode, but when it comes to Leozak, it actually doesn't really matter whether you're in vehicle mode or robot mode. I will also do him in robot mode because it's also in one that kind of doesn't matter due to the way he transforms. So first thing you're going to do, you're going to take off his breast animal. Go ahead and fold in his arms, just like so. We do leave his feet up, but we can go ahead and tab these together. We do want to go ahead and loosen up this backpack, as well as fold down this panel right here. Go ahead and rotate the head around, and, well, rotate the head around, like so. Tab that in there. Then go ahead and rotate the waist around, and collapse that backpack back into place, and make sure everything is tabbed in. Then you're going to fold this up here, and you see these little triangle and little wedge pieces right there. Those are going to slot in to the little grooves here in his chest. And move these arms up out of the way. And when you get that all grooved in, you're going to have these little tabs right here underneath the tail fins. They are going to sort of loosely peg into those slots in his armpits, just like so. And for now, that's all you're going to do with him. Now for Guyhawk and Hellbat, we're going to go ahead and lift up the wings. Then you're going to take the nose cones and flip them all the way back. You don't have to tab them in if you want this to be a little bit more show accurate, and you can have them tilted up that way, but for now we'll just tab it in. And you're going to take the head and that whole panel that it's on and start flipping it out. And when you do, you'll start pulling up this piece. We'll go ahead and lift that all the way up and push that all the way into the nose cone until it clicks into place. Now at this point, you're going to go ahead and remove the breast animals if you have them attached. And much like you are going to robot mode, you're going to go ahead and break it apart right here by pushing down on the back until it unhooks, just like so. And rotate this all the way down as far as it will go. It will sort of stop here at an angle. Now here on Guyhawk, you're going to go ahead and flip the tail fins up to line up with, well, the other tail fins. And then on both of them, you're going to take the hand and you're going to fold it all the way out and rotate it all the way around 180 degrees. Now me personally, what I like to do is I like to turn the feet this way to the side so they're not quite sticking out quite so far. And then you can extend out the hands. Then you're going to take them and take their shoulder pylons here and rotate them all the way around. Sort of tuck them underneath the wings there on both sides. And then you can take your breast animal and plug it into the forearms on the opposite side. I like to turn them up this way so they're a little bit more out of the way. And there you have the arms. Now for Deathcobra, if you want him to be an arm, go ahead and take that off and fold up his arms, kind of like you're going into vehicle mode, and tab in the armpits. We'll go ahead and pull the propeller off and just sort of angle this up out of the way. We'll take the head and rotate it on that panel all the way into the back. And now his head is not attached to that connector. That connector is a separate piece. You just reach in there with your thumb or a spudger or something and move that up. Then just like on the jets, Angle this all the way down. And much like with the jets, when you're going to vehicle mode, you actually have the same sort of apparatus in here with the panel on the one side and the hand that looks like a thruster on the other side. I will say on my Deathcobra, this likes to get stuck a lot. And I just popped off his his heel spur here. Oh, whoops! I totally meant to do that. I did mean to do it. I sure did. You can't prove me wrong. You can't. You just can't do it. You can't do it. No. No. Okay, there. I got it. Yeah, that arm apparatus does like to get stuck on this guy, at least on mine. And again, we'll rotate these. Rotate the hand 180. Extend out the fingers. Now your propeller, you've got a couple of different choices here. He's got a hole, dedicated port right here for the propeller if you want it to be able to spin somewhat, because obviously it's not going to be able to do a full spin. Likewise, you got a peg hole here and a peg hole here where you can put that in as well. And of course, you can attach on your Cobra wherever you want on him. I personally like to put it here with the gun extended, much like it will be when he's in cannon mode, because I just think that kind of looks pretty cool. And there you have an alternate left arm. Now, Killbison and Drillhorn have incredibly complex transformations. So complex you won't even believe it. Can't believe your eyes. Yeah, that's basically it for both of them. There is a little bit of a difference between the two. So you're going to remove his rhino, and you're going to come back here and just grab this whole back piece and untab that. And then this will rotate around, and it kind of gets stuck here a little bit and then locks into place just like so. And then you'll close this back up. It's got this little panel right here that's going to go into that slot to keep that locked into place. And then you can take your rhino, and as we mentioned before, you know, they've got the little slots. They're going to tab in by those slots just like so. And there you have a foot. In the case of Killbison, you want to pull this off for right now so we can get in here and open up that whole back panel. Go ahead and pull him off. And just like before, you're going to rotate this around and close this back up. Now, again, these pegs are hard to get into these holes, but also this tab is going to go into that slot, but that's also a moving tab because that's the tab his head's attached onto. So you kind of sort of need to finagle this a bit to make sure everything gets lined up and that tab gets in that slot. That tab needs to be in that slot, otherwise this is going to be a little bit loose. And then again, flip out the foot, flip out the heel, plug that in. And for right now, we'll go ahead and plug this back in. And there you have two legs. And we'll go ahead and tilt these back on their little ratchets. I'll make things a little bit easier here in a bit. All right, and for Jaruga, what we're going to do here is we're going to pull off his little missiles and just set these off to the side, like so. Then we are going to untab his back piece here and just straighten it out like so. Untab his arms right here, rotate him all the way up, and move his arms forward like so. And yeah, that's his transformation right there. You can take the hips and slide these in and make sure they push all the way up and in. You can move these down. And then we can take those missile pods. As you can see, they got a post down here as well as a post in the back. And those are going to slot into these two holes right there on either side. Straighten these out a bit. Tab these back up. And there is all of the parts ready to go. So let's put them together. So now one thing I want to address, because it might get asked. If you look at how the legs here connect, as well as how the arms connect. Let's see the little connector there. They are extremely similar to what we've been seeing since Combiner Wars with the little spring pad in here. And of course the way that the Scramble City, the newer, modern combiners have been combining. However, these are completely different size and shape, so they are not cross-compatible. You can't put this guy on like Minosaur or the Bruticus or what have you. He will only fit right here. Speaking of, again, you kind of want this tilted back to give you enough clearance to get that in that slot. You can see there's little tabs right here and grooves along the side. And just like what we're used to so far, it just slides right in and clips into place. All right, time to move up. We had to extend up the tripod because we are getting into the big side of things. All right, so we're going to take him, and he's got these little slider connector right here, which also connects onto the display base. You're going to slide it over this tab right here, just like so. And then these clips back here, which also are used to go into the display base, are going to clip into these slots here. And then these tabs here are going to go into little slots on his feet. So you just put all that together. And again, I think this is here to make this a little bit easier to connect to the feet if you so choose. Connect all of that together. Then here on his side skirts, they're going to come down. And you see there's a little tab sticking out there. That's going to go into a slot in that side skirt to help lock that in. Likewise, the arm is going to come down and tab into the back of the wings. And then these tabs here are going to go into these slots on the sides of the legs. They're not really a tight connection, but they get the job done as far as just keeping things in place. And that is amazingly solid. Even with the great big hole right here, like there is no play in that. That is where all the engineering went. Lastly, but not leastly, we're going to, much like the modern combiners, you're going to slot this over this square peg right here. There we go. You click into place. And lastly, here on the back, we're going to take Lion Breast and plug him in to the little peg back here underneath the car. And he'll just slot in like so. And ladies and gentlemen, and whatever's in betweens, there we have our new Liokaiser. And yeah, I can't even quite get him into frame here. Get up a little. Move up just a little bit more. I'm as maxed as I can go. And here we go. There we go. And yes, and I'll be damned if that's not a good-looking Liokaiser. Not only is this a good-looking Liokaiser, his proportions are really good. And he doesn't have that big... Well, I mean, he has what looks like a robot clinging on for dear life for a backpack. But, like, he's very clean. Very clean, very solid. Now, of course, yes, he still has the slight anime proportions with the bigger, chunkier body and the slightly smaller head. But honestly... It works. It works so well. And I can't get over how hefty he feels and how solid he feels. So getting a good look here at the details. Oh, I actually missed a step. So he does have one step here on the head. His ears pop up just a little bit. Just a tiny, teeny bit. But yeah. Whoa. So he does have one issue, and you just saw it, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So going down the figure, I mean, most everything that we see here are things that we've seen in the individual bot modes. So as far as articulation goes, the head is on a universal joint. So you got a little bit of up and down and a swivel, but you don't have anything side to side. The arms, man, the arms are amazing. So, of course, you can go forward and back almost all the way around, and they are at an angle and cut enough to where you can go up quite a ways before, hitting the wings. But of course the wings have hinges in them to get them fully out of the way so you can do a full 360. You have ratchets out the wazoo, again, up and down right there. And you also have the ratchet here where at the connector, so you can get that going for you if you really want to. You have a very tight, one of the few non-ratchets, bicep swivel here. And man, I just wanted to focus on my hairy arm. You have a ratcheted elbow. It does go over 90 degrees, but not too far over. We have wrist swivel. And then we have articulated fingers. So the index finger is a separate piece, and then the rest of the fingers are one piece, and it is articulated in 2 points here. Now, unlike some of the other figures that we've had articulated fingers, these have a curl to them. So like this middle knuckle area has a little bit of a curl to it. So they kind of, they can't go straight, just a little bit of an angle. They do still have the, index finger being bigger and longer than the rest. So they still kind of have feet hands, though not terribly bad feet hands. Now here at the waist, the whole hip skirt is one piece, and underneath you do have a limited waist swivel. And it's really just the sculpting and that's underneath here that catches that waist. You can kind of push it past it, but I wouldn't do that too often. It's not really meant to do that. Then for the hips are on universal joints, and they are ratcheted in every direction. So forward, back, full split. And unlike some ratcheted joints on the hips that do, the side to side, these have plenty of detents, making it to where he doesn't get awkward stances and can stand straight up and down or just at a slight A stance. And I love that. That's very, very good to see. Now, they do also have ratcheted knees. They do get under 90 degrees. And if there's one minor complaint to have with the joints, is that these knees aren't quite tight enough. I mean, they're tight enough. You can get them in a lot of poses and he will hold just fine. But as you saw earlier, ripped his knee off. If you have him leaning back far enough, they're going to give. Then, of course, he does have a thigh swivel, buttery smooth thigh swivel right there. And then he gets deep ankle tilts. And the way these pieces come together, it makes one full solid, I might point out, foot. And again, very, very deep ankle pivots right there, which means you can get him in some pretty dynamic poses, should you choose to do so. Now, as far as weaponry, he does have his core weaponry here. So you want to go ahead and pop these down and pull these pieces back off. I guess technically you don't have to put these on there. It does create a little bit extra connection point, but you don't really need it. Pull off Killbison's turret here, and then you're going to tab these on to the little peg holes here on top, just like so. And there is his gun. Now what I like to do is I like to go ahead and unpeg these and move them to the forward position. His gun in the cartoon, the barrels would be a little bit longer, and then this whole area here was a lot more narrow and black, but it is what it is. Now his post here is not very long, and under normal circumstances, that wouldn't be good enough to post into his hand, but they've actually engineered around that. If you can see right there, there's a little slot right there, and here he's got a little tab that extends out there, so you can actually tab that in and post that in. You can get his fingers around there, and he can point his gun at the badly injured Star Saber and tell him to die. Now, likewise, if you want to give him his nunchuku, you can either remove one of these and slide it in, but they are loose enough to where you can actually just snap them in like so. And you can have him holding these like he's doing a spin attack. However you wish to have him holding these, you can totally do it. Have him give some Autobots a very, very bad day. Yeah, that looks really, really good. And of course, if you want to get the alternate universe where Deathcobra took over for Hellbat and Hellbat was kicked out, you can totally do that. It is all the same articulation. You kind of have to move this up out of the way if you want to, do the full arm right there, but you can totally do that. Nothing different as far as the articulation. There's just more junk here to sort of get in the way of it all. Now, if you want to do the alternate universe where Deathcobra didn't die and that they didn't get rid of Hellbat and they all became one team, you can do that here too. So you want to get Deathcobra like you're going back into vehicle mode until you get to this point right here. And you just want to bend his knees in the L shape. Then you're going to take his breast animal. It's going to plug in just like so. You kind of want to tilt this down and tilt that down and lay him down just like that there. And then you're going to take all of the other breast animals and put them into their gun modes and plug them in to these ports here on the sides, just like so. You do want to kind of put the thinner guys here in the front to make sure you have clearance for those guns there in the back. Jaguar right here, and then Lion is actually going to go here. Rhino is going to go here, and then Bat goes right here, just like that. Then we're going to come up here on Liokaiser. We're going to go ahead and fold this forward. Then we're going to fold this up and out of the way so we can put the wings down and tab them back into the arms. We're going to do that on both sides. And then you can fold these back down over the wings. And then we're going to take this guy, and we've got these little pegs coming down right here off of his knees. That's going to go into the slot right there. And then this post here is going to tab in to where his breast animal would normally go. This is a little bit, it's a little bit fiddly. Not going to lie, it's a little bit fiddly. And not the most secure connection. There you go. There is Deathcobra as a shoulder cannon thing of some sort. It is a kind of one of those things where it's a thing because we say it is. But yeah, it works. It's very toyetic. It's very goofy. It's fun. And now for comparison, if we can get all this into one shot. Here he is with Superion, and here he is with Devastator. So yeah, to the tops of their heads, he is taller than Superion and Menasor just a little bit, but he is slightly shorter than Devastator. And I kind of feel that's a little bit wrong. I think he should be bigger than Devastator, if I'm being honest. I mean, he is supposedly, in his own canon, he is the biggest, most powerful combiner that ever was. I mean, he is the guy that killed God Jinrai, after all, or Power Master Optimus Prime, if you will. And here he is with his enemy Star Saber, or Victory Saber, and his now broken sword. Oh, that depresses me to no end. That thing is stuck in there too, and not really replaceable. So, whoo, I'm mad. And here is our HasLab Liokaiser with the Iron Factory Liokaiser right there. You can see he dwarfs him quite a bit. And this is a really cool Liokaiser. It really is. It's a neat design when he's all put together. Definitely a lot more hyper mecha than his individual bot modes. And yeah, the individual bot modes are a little bit better than this one's are, but at the same time, 1, he's smaller, 2, he's fiddlier, and 3, there is no actual integration for the combined mode here. This is even more frame than what you would get on a modern Hasbro, whereas this modern Hasbro, you just have a pair of pants and everything else is fully integrated. This is where all the engineering went. So Hasbro made a choice. They chose to sacrifice parts of the individual bots to make the combined mode superior. And they nailed it. This is an amazing piece. I wish I could get across just how enamored I am with the end result of this combined. And lastly, here is our full Transformers Victory Villains Ensemble. Although it's kind of really hard to call Dino King a villain, he gave up in the end. But yeah, they do look good together. So my final thoughts on this. If I were to judge this solely on the merits of the individual bots, I would say not worth the price. I would. The individual bots are good. They're good. They are, even with the things that absolutely make me angry about them. If I had spent $20 at a Walmart for each of them, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal for me. Thankfully, however, the individual bots are only a small part of the greater whole. And the greater whole, Liokaiser here himself, proves that Hasbro can still cook. Now, I know, granted, part of this is also the people at Takara. And honestly, the simplistic nature of the individual bots makes putting them together easy and intuitive and fun to do and fun to mess with, even taking them back apart and putting them into individual bots. He ends up being fun and enjoyable, and I can't stress that enough. Is he still worth what we ended up paying for him? That's a hard sell. That's a hard sell. I will say that. I will say that. But I do not regret my purchase either. Ultimately, I love this. I do. I genuinely love this in the long run. And I am glad to have a new modern Liokaiser on the shelf. Could this have been done at mainline? I do think there is a path for this to have gone to mainline, but I do think it would have been dumbed down a little bit, and we would have had some more shared engineering to, release this guy as other bots first and then make him into Liokaiser. So at the end, I'm glad this is what we got. So yeah, this has been a very long journey because it's technically 7 bots and then an 8th bot when they're all put together. I didn't want to do this all in one video because, like I said in a previous video, I wouldn't even really want to sit down and watch an hour-long video of some big fat hairy guy like me fumbling around with a toy. He ended Starsaber's reign by breaking Starsaber's sword. And this just kills me. For those that don't know, my Starsaber was one of the factory defects. He had things that were not connected on him correctly. He had the big gouges in the chrome. And so I did send him back to get a replacement. And the replacement that I got was also a factory defect with things that were not connected correctly and gouges in the chrome. So I took him apart and just fixed what I could on him, and then got the repro labels to fix the chrome and called it a winner. So for this to happen now, wow, that kills me. That kills me. You kill me, but I might like this better. I'm one of those oddballs that have always loved the villains, and the Breast Force were very cool villains, and Liokaiser was a genuine menace and a threat. Unlike Dino King, who was just the comic relief. But anyway, I'm waffling on. I need to stop. Until next time, y'all have a good one.